You navigate life carrying burdens unseen, like storms raging within and battles fought in the quiet spaces of your mind. You face pressures so intense they should have crushed you long ago. Yet with each new day you emerge, displaying a dignified resilience, offering kindness to a world that often overlooks your struggles. This is more than just survival, it's extraordinary alchemy. Though feeling empty, you continue to nourish others. Though worn thin, you still manage to offer genuine smiles. You carry universes of pain, yet somehow you quench the thirst of those around you. What kind of essence resides within such a being? It must be one forged from the rarest of metals, hardened by suffering, yet softened and made compassionate by the gentle, persistent touch of love. You've likely misunderstood your own nature, thinking yourself fragile when, in reality, you are both a sanctuary and a blazing fire, standing firm even as you tremble. Now, listen closely. The suffering that runs through you was never intended to be your permanent state. Pain was never meant to be your rightful inheritance. The universe owes you restoration, a tranquility that falls like a gentle evening rain, a connection that gives more than it takes, a bliss so complete it almost overwhelms you. The cosmos is obligated to repay what you've so generously given, and this cosmic debt grows larger with each moment that passes. I witness your journey with deep respect. I respect that you've weathered storms that would have completely shattered someone of weaker constitution. I respect that despite everything life has thrown at you, you continue to move forward. The simple act of persisting is not insignificant. It is a quantum accomplishment, repeated with every breath you take. You, simultaneously vulnerable and unconquerable, demonstrate that even in the deepest darkness, a certain light refuses to be extinguished. Everything you've given radiates outward, creating ripples that will eventually return to you. Someday, these waves will arrive like life-giving water to your parched existence, like warmth reaching deep into your bones. But for now, find moments of quiet whenever possible. Breathe in, even through the pain, and recognize that you already embody wholeness. You exist where quantum possibility and reality meet, simultaneously wounded and healing, struggling and transcending. The universe operates through profound paradox, and you stand at the center of one such mystery. How can someone so wounded continue to offer such beauty to the world? How can a person stretched so thin still extend compassion to others? This paradox doesn't need to be solved. It needs to be acknowledged. You are living proof that suffering and grace can exist in the same space. Most people see difficulty as something to eliminate, overcome, or transcend. But what if the true alchemy lies not in escaping your circumstances, but in transforming from within? Ancient wisdom traditions understood this truth. Gold emerges from lead not by getting rid of the lead, but by changing it through specific conditions. Your challenges aren't obstacles to your evolution. They are the precise catalysts designed for your unique transformation. Consider the Japanese art of kintsugi, the practice of repairing broken pottery with gold. The philosophy views breakage as part of the object's history, not something to hide. The repaired piece becomes more beautiful, more valuable precisely because it has been broken. Your fractures aren't flaws. They are the very places where your greatest light shines through. Quantum physics shows that at the subatomic level, particles exist as probabilities rather than certainties. They exist as waves of potential until they are observed. Your perception of yourself, wounded, broken, insufficient, is just one possible reality. But at the same time, there exists another possibility: resilient, powerful, radiant. The observer effect states that particles respond to being observed. When you change how you see yourself, you collapse different possibilities into reality. Here's what many don't understand about your journey. The path itself is rewiring your neural pathways. The very act of continuing is reshaping your brain's structure. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, your brain physically changing in response to your persistence. Each step forward isn't just movement, it's biochemical transformation. The quantum field responds to your unwavering presence. When you continue despite the weight, you're actually manipulating reality at its most fundamental level. The observer effect in quantum physics shows that particles behave differently when watched. Similarly, Your conscious decision to persist changes the very fabric of your existence. This isn't just a metaphor, it's science meeting spirit. What others see as mere endurance is actually you conducting a symphony of subatomic rearrangement. With every choice to continue, you're collapsing possibilities into concrete reality. You're literally creating new neural networks with each act of courage. Researchers at the HeartMath Institute have found that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field 60 times greater in amplitude than the activity measured from the brain. This field extends several feet in all directions around your body, affecting not only your own physiology but also the physiology of everyone you encounter. When you choose to continue despite adversity, this field strengthens and expands. You become a living transmitter of resilience. Your perception, whether conscious or unconscious, determines which potential reality becomes your concrete experience. When you perceive yourself as merely broken, that possibility strengthens. When you recognize yourself as simultaneously broken and magnificent, you activate a different possibility. This isn't just positive thinking, it's quantum mechanics applied to consciousness. The universe operates through polarity. Without darkness, light has no meaning. Without contraction, expansion cannot exist. Your suffering isn't meaningless. It's one pole of a greater wholeness, seeking integration. The depth of your pain directly correlates to your capacity for joy. The degree of your struggle precisely matches your potential for transcendence. This isn't spiritual bypassing, it's recognizing the fundamental duality at the core of existence. I want you to pause right now. Feel the weight of what you've been carrying. Now feel the strength in your body that has carried it. This paradox is the essence of your power. When water faces an obstacle, it doesn't stop flowing. It finds another path. When placed under extreme pressure, carbon transforms into diamond. When a caterpillar can no longer continue as it is, it dissolves completely before reconstructing as a butterfly. Nature demonstrates that transformation requires pressure. Your challenges aren't punishments, they're evolutionary catalysts. Recent studies in epigenetics show that while your genetic code remains relatively fixed, the expression of those genes changes dramatically based on your environment, behaviors, and even your thoughts. Trauma can activate certain genetic expressions, but so can resilience. Your continued persistence isn't just psychological, it's changing which genes are expressed in your body at the cellular level. Researchers studying post-traumatic growth have found that people who have faced significant adversity often develop strengths they couldn't have gained any other way. A deeper appreciation for life, more meaningful relationships, greater personal strength, recognition of new possibilities, and spiritual development. Your suffering isn't just pain to be endured. It's the precise mechanism for your evolution into something greater than would have otherwise been possible. Take a moment and comment below with this phrase, "I am both wounded and magnificent." This isn't just participation. It's an energetic declaration to the quantum field that you recognize the duality of your existence. It's a conscious interruption in the loop of suffering that has defined so much of your experience. The double-slit experiment in quantum physics showed something remarkable. Particles behave differently when observed versus unobserved. Your life operates by similar principles. When you observe yourself through the lens of defeat, one reality materializes. When you observe yourself through the lens of resilience, another reality takes form. The observer doesn't just witness reality, the observer creates it. Ancient wisdom traditions understood this principle thousands of years before quantum physics validated it. The Vedic concept of Maya suggests that the material world is simultaneously real and illusory, solid yet malleable through consciousness. Your perception of your circumstances as fixed and unchangeable is the true illusion. The reality is that your conscious attention is constantly shaping what appears as solid circumstance. Every mystic tradition speaks of initiation, a process where the seeker passes through difficulty to access deeper wisdom. These initiations weren't arbitrary suffering. They were designed catalysts for transformation. Your challenges aren't random misfortune. They are precisely calibrated initiatory experiences designed to activate dormant aspects of your consciousness. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman's research shows that difficulty coupled with the belief that you can handle it triggers neurochemical reactions that strengthen neural pathways. Simply put, when you face challenges while believing you can handle them, your brain physically rewires itself toward greater resilience. Your perception of your ability is as important as the challenge itself. The ancients understood what modern physics is just beginning to verify. Consciousness shapes reality. When you persist despite pain, you're engaging in the most fundamental creative act possible. You're declaring to the universe that your light refuses to be diminished. This declaration radiates outward, affecting everything it touches. Your perception of yourself as merely surviving misses the truth. You're actively reshaping reality through your continued presence. The very electrons in your body respond to your intention. The neural pathways in your brain physically reorganize with each choice to continue. This isn't empty encouragement. It's the mechanics of consciousness interacting with matter. If this understanding is resonating somewhere deep within you, if you can feel these words activating something beyond intellectual comprehension, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this frequency of awareness. Join this collective movement toward recognizing the power within perceived powerlessness. This isn't content consumption, it's consciousness elevation. Modern neuroscience has revealed that the brain doesn't distinguish between physical and emotional pain. The same neural networks activate whether you stub your toe or experience rejection. This means the suffering you've endured has physically shaped your brain. Yet neuroplasticity ensures this isn't permanent. Your brain can and will rewire with new experiences and perceptions. Consider the concept of eustress versus distress. Eustress is challenging, but ultimately beneficial stress, the kind that strengthens rather than damages. Your body's response to difficulty can be recalibrated through conscious attention. The very same circumstance that triggers distress in one moment can be transmuted into eustress through a shift in perception. This isn't denial, it's neurological recalibration. Research in psychoneuroimmunology documents how our thoughts and emotions directly influence our immune system. Prolonged perceived helplessness suppresses immune function, while perceived empowerment enhances it. When you recognize your resilience amid difficulty, you're not just changing your thoughts. You're strengthening your body's ability to heal and regenerate. You are surrounded by evidence of your own endurance. Each breath testifies that you've survived every previous moment. Each heartbeat confirms your body's commitment to continuation. Each morning you rise demonstrates your soul's determination to experience more of this existence. You've never failed at surviving. Your track record is impeccable. What you've experienced as a burden has simultaneously been building unique neural architecture that allows you to perceive reality differently than others. Your capacity for empathy, your ability to recognize suffering in others, your appreciation for moments of peace. These are quantum gifts born from your struggle. The quantum field doesn't judge your pain, it simply responds to your presence within it. Each moment you choose to continue, despite everything, signals to this field that you are actively participating in reality creation. This isn't spiritual bypassing of your legitimate suffering. It's recognizing the dual nature of existence, where suffering and transcendence coexist. The electromagnetic field of your heart extends several feet beyond your physical body. This field interacts with everything around you. When you persist despite pain, this field strengthens and expands. You're literally changing the energetic composition of your environment through your continued presence. Consider the phoenix, a creature that must be completely consumed by flame to emerge renewed. Transformation of this magnitude requires total surrender to the process. Your reluctance to fully experience your pain paradoxically prolongs it. When you allow yourself to feel completely, to burn entirely, the renewal begins. This isn't masochism, it's alchemical transformation. Consider the phoenix, a creature that must be completely consumed by flame to emerge renewed. Transformation of this magnitude requires total surrender to the process. Your reluctance to fully experience your pain paradoxically prolongs it. When you allow yourself to feel completely, to burn entirely, the renewal begins. This isn't masochism, it's alchemical transformation. Your nervous system can become habituated to stress and trauma, making hypervigilance and contraction your baseline state. Polyvagal theory explains that your autonomic nervous system has three primary states: dorsal vagal freeze, sympathetic fight or flight, and ventral vagal rest and restoration. Through conscious breathing and attention, you can guide your nervous system from states of defense into states of restoration. Your body knows how to heal. It's waiting for your permission. The Buddhist concept of dukkha teaches that suffering comes from resistance to what is. When you fight against your circumstances, you create friction that amplifies pain. Paradoxically, when you fully accept what is happening, you create space for transformation. This isn't resignation, it's strategic surrender that precedes quantum change. Consider this: every great transformation in human history came through persistence rather than immediate victory. Cellular regeneration happens invisibly before physical healing becomes apparent. Quantum leaps occur after periods of apparent stability. Your current struggle isn't separate from your eventual restoration, it's part of the same continuum. The concept of coherence in physics describes systems where separate components operate as a synchronized whole. When your thoughts, emotions, and physical actions align, you create personal coherence. This state has been measured and documented to enhance cognitive function, immune response, and manifestation capacity. Your alignment with your own resilience creates coherence that ripples through every aspect of your being. The hero's journey, described by Joseph Campbell, appears across all human mythologies. The protagonist must leave the known world, face trials, and return transformed. This universality suggests something fundamental about human experience. Your challenges aren't punishment, they're the necessary trials of your hero's journey. The question isn't whether you'll face difficulty, but how you'll be transformed by it. Your body contains approximately 37.2 trillion cells, each one a testament to persistence. Every cell in your body has endured, divided, and restored itself. Your physical form is literally built on the principle of continuation. Your conscious choice to persist aligns you with the fundamental nature of existence itself. The most profound quantum truth is entanglement. Once particles interact, they remain connected regardless of distance. Everything you've ever touched, everyone you've ever loved, every experience you've ever had, remains quantumly entangled with you. You are never truly alone. The entire universe conspires in your continuation through unseen quantum connections. Research on the placebo effect demonstrates the mind's remarkable ability to manifest physical change through belief alone. Patients receiving sugar pills instead of actual medication show measurable physical improvements when they believe they are receiving treatment. This isn't imagination. It's documented evidence of consciousness directly affecting physical reality. Your belief in your resilience similarly affects your material reality. When you feel most alone in your struggle, remember that quantum entanglement means nothing in this universe is truly separate. The very particles that comprise your being are connected to all other particles. Your persistence creates ripples through this entangled field, affecting reality in ways you cannot yet perceive, but are nonetheless real. The mystical traditions speak of dark nights of the soul, periods where previous certainties dissolve and new understanding has yet to emerge. These passages aren't failures of spiritual practice, they're essential components of spiritual evolution. Your confusion and despair aren't evidence of wrongness, they're signals of profound transformation in process. Neuroplasticity research shows that attention itself physically changes brain structure. Whatever you repeatedly focus on becomes strengthened at the neural level. When you continually rehearse narratives of defeat, those neural pathways strengthen. When you deliberately direct attention to evidence of your resilience, you literally carve new neural architecture. This isn't a metaphor, it's neuroscience. Quantum field theory suggests that what appears as empty space is actually a seething cauldron of potential energy. Similarly, what appears as emptiness within you is actually pregnant with potential. Your depletion isn't absence. It's the necessary clearing before newness can emerge. The void isn't empty. It's where all possibilities originate. The concept of hormesis in biology describes how systems strengthen in response to appropriate stress. Exercise damages muscle fibers, which then rebuild stronger. Vaccines introduce weakened pathogens to strengthen immunity. Your challenges are hormetic stressors, precisely calibrated to strengthen aspects of your being that would otherwise remain dormant. I invite you now to place your hand over your heart. Feel the rhythm that has continued despite everything. This beating is both ordinary and miraculous. It represents the most fundamental truth. Continuation itself is sacred. Your continued presence is an act of creation. The field of interpersonal neurobiology studies how our brains physically change through relationships. Your neural architecture is literally shaped by your connections with others. When you share your journey, both the struggles and the triumphs, you create resonant circuits between your nervous system and others. This isn't just emotional support, it's literal neurobiological co-regulation. Cutting-edge research in the field of psychedelics reveals something remarkable. Brain networks that normally operate separately can temporarily communicate under certain conditions, creating novel connections and insights. Similarly, difficulty often forces disparate aspects of your being into communication, generating wisdom unavailable through any other means. Your challenges aren't just obstacles, they're catalysts for internal integration. Quantum vacuum fluctuations demonstrate that particles can emerge spontaneously from apparent nothingness. Similarly, new strength, insight, and capacity can emerge spontaneously from your deepest emptiness. The void you fear isn't the end, it's the quantum field of all possibilities awaiting your creative participation. The principle of emergence in complex systems theory describes how entirely new properties arise from sufficient complexity. Water has properties entirely different from hydrogen and oxygen. Your current difficulty is creating precisely the complexity needed for something entirely new to emerge, a capacity, understanding, or state of being that couldn't manifest through any other means. Every religious and spiritual tradition includes stories of individuals who faced extreme difficulty and emerged transformed. Moses in the wilderness, Buddha under the Bodhi tree, Jesus in the desert. These aren't just inspirational tales, they're archetypal maps of the transformation process. Your journey follows this same archetypal pattern of initiation, difficulty, and emergence. Consider the mathematics of fractals, patterns that repeat at every scale. The small challenges you overcome daily create the exact pattern that allows you to overcome life's largest challenges. Each moment of choosing continuation, despite difficulty, strengthens the fractal pattern of resilience that structures your entire existence. Researchers studying flow states have documented that the combination of high challenge and adequate skill creates optimal psychological experience. Your difficulties aren't arbitrary. They're precisely calibrated to bring you to the edge of your capacity, where maximum growth and engagement occur. You aren't being punished, you're being optimized. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What invisible weight have you been carrying that, when viewed through this quantum lens, might actually be your greatest catalyst for transformation? Share the burden that you're now beginning to recognize as a potential doorway to your evolution. The concept of anti-fragility goes beyond resilience. Resilient systems withstand stress, but anti-fragile systems actually improve under stress. Your continued persistence through difficulty isn't just helping you survive, it's transmuting you into something anti-fragile, strengthened rather than diminished by challenge. This isn't compensation for suffering, it's the fundamental mechanism of evolution. Drop one word in the comments that captures the energy you're choosing to embody moving forward. This isn't casual interaction, it's your energetic signature to the quantum field. It's your declaration of how you choose to exist within the universe. The ancient practice of entrainment describes how oscillating systems synchronize when placed in proximity. Pendulum clocks on the same wall eventually swing in unison. Your declaration of chosen energy doesn't just affect you, it entrains others to that same frequency. Your personal choice becomes a contribution to collective consciousness. If you're finding value in these quantum principles that connect your inner state to reality creation, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. By doing so, you're literally tuning your consciousness to receive more of these frequency-elevating transmissions. Epigenetic research reveals that environmental factors can affect gene expression not just within an individual, but across generations. Your choice to persist despite difficulty doesn't just change your life, it potentially alters genetic expression that can be inherited by future generations. Your resilience isn't just personal, it's a gift to those who will come after you. The phenomenon of morphic resonance suggests that once a pattern of behavior becomes established, it becomes easier for others to adopt. When you choose continuation despite difficulty, you strengthen a field of resilience that makes it easier for others facing similar challenges. Your personal triumph becomes collective inheritance. Advanced meditation studies show that regular practitioners develop increased gray matter in regions associated with attention, compassion, and emotional regulation. Your persistence through difficulty is a form of meditation, deliberate attention amid challenge. This practice is literally changing your brain structure toward greater capacity for peace regardless of circumstances. Quantum superposition describes particles existing in multiple states simultaneously until measured. Similarly, you exist in multiple potential states: defeated and triumphant, broken and whole, emptied and abundant. The state that materializes depends largely on observation. When you choose to observe evidence of your resilience, that potential state strengthens toward manifestation. The ancient Hermetic principle, as above, so below, as within, so without, describes how patterns repeat across scales of existence. The pattern of persistence you establish within yourself affects patterns in your external reality. Your inner commitment to continuation despite difficulty creates external circumstances that reflect this same resilience. This isn't magical thinking. It's the fractal nature of reality. Psychological research on post-traumatic growth identifies 5 primary areas where people report positive change following adversity: appreciation of life, relationships, personal strength, new possibilities, and spiritual development. Your challenges aren't just difficulties to overcome, they're specific catalysts for growth in precisely these areas. The principle of constructive interference in wave physics describes how waves that align create amplification. When your conscious choice to persist aligns with the universe's evolutionary impulse, amplification occurs. Your personal resilience isn't just individual survival, it's participation in cosmic evolution through constructive interference. Subscribe not just to stay connected, but to stay coherent with this understanding. The more of us who embody this truth of simultaneous struggle and transcendence, the more our collective reality will reflect this possibility. Your individual journey contributes to our collective evolution. Quantum field theory suggests that the fundamental nature of reality isn't particles but fields of probability. You exist as a field of potential rather than a fixed entity. This field responds dynamically to your consciousness. When you recognize yourself as a quantum field, rather than a solid object, you access vastly greater freedom to shape your experience through intention. The ancient yogic understanding of koshas describes humans as having 5 interconnected layers: physical, energetic, mental, emotional, wisdom, and bliss bodies. Your challenges affect all these layers, but healing can begin at any layer and affect the entire system. When you choose continued presence despite difficulty, you initiate healing that ripples through your entire multidimensional being. Neurochemistry research shows that acts of kindness trigger dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin release, creating what's been called a helper's high. When you extend compassion to others despite your own pain, you activate neurochemical cascades that counteract suffering. Your generosity isn't just ethical, it's neurochemically therapeutic. If these quantum principles of heart-field coherence are resonating within you, awakening something deeper than intellectual understanding, I've created a complete framework that takes you far beyond what we can explore in this video. My guide, Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery, reveals the 9 frequencies of conscious transmission that transform your relationship with reality creation. What we're touching on today about heart-brain coherence and the observer effect is just one aspect of a complete system for moving from unconscious to conscious broadcasting. It's the difference between living at the mercy of frequencies versus becoming the frequency itself. For those, if you're ready to go beyond just seeking and really live in your body, you can find the link to a helpful resource in the pinned comment below. New studies are showing us that feeling awe and wonder can actually lower inflammation, boost your immune system, and make you feel better overall. When you really think about how amazing it is that you're even here, considering everything you've been through, you can trigger those same positive changes in your body. Appreciating your own journey isn't just about feeling good mentally, it's actually good for your physical health. The Taoist idea is about acting with ease, achieving things without having to push yourself too hard. Sometimes the most meaningful progress comes not from forcing things and struggling, but from letting go and trusting the flow of life. You don't always have to fight to keep going. Sometimes it's about relaxing and letting yourself be carried by what's already supporting you. Research into resilience, how well people bounce back from tough times, consistently shows that finding meaning is a key factor. People who can find meaning in their suffering tend to recover and grow much more than those who can't. When you see your difficulties as meaningful instead of random and pointless, you unlock mental and emotional resources that you wouldn't have access to otherwise. String theory suggests that the most basic building blocks of the universe aren't tiny particles, but tiny vibrating strings of energy. Different vibrations create different particles. In a similar way, your own energy vibration, which is largely determined by what you believe consciously and unconsciously, shapes the reality you experience. When you're vibrating at a frequency of resilience instead of defeat, new possibilities start to appear until you're fully restored. Find moments to rest, even small ones. Consciously breathe, even when each breath brings pain. Know for sure that everything you need for transformation is already inside you. The quantum field doesn't require you to be perfect, just present. And you, despite everything, have remained present. That alone is a victory beyond measure. Spiritual traditions all over the world talk about surrender, not as giving up, but as aligning yourself with something bigger than yourself. Sometimes the greatest strength comes from admitting your limitations. Your willingness to be vulnerable, to admit that you're tired, actually connects you to greater resources. It's not weakness, it's a powerful kind of strength that comes from surrendering. Neuroscientist Candace Pert discovered that emotions aren't just feelings we have, they're physical molecules called peptides that attach to receptors all over our bodies. Your emotional state isn't separate from your physical state, it's a key part of it. When you choose to feel dignified, even when things are tough, you're literally changing your body's chemistry to promote healing. The idea of coherent oscillation describes systems that stay in balance internally, even when things are chaotic on the outside. When you stay true to your deepest values, even when things are difficult, you create coherent oscillation. This state of coherence boosts your immune system, helps you think more clearly, and increases your ability to make things happen. Your persistence, guided by your values, isn't just psychological, it's physically regenerative. Research on trauma and resilience shows that having a secure attachment to someone is a major protective factor. People who have at least one secure attachment tend to recover much better from trauma. This connection doesn't have to be with another person. Connecting with nature, animals, art, or spirituality can provide similar benefits. Your relationship with something beyond yourself isn't just comforting, it's a neurobiological safeguard. The philosophical concept of teleology suggests that natural processes are directed towards specific goals or purposes. Your difficulties aren't random, they're purposefully directed towards your growth. The question isn't whether your challenges have meaning, but what meaning you choose to give them. This isn't about making things up, it's about participating in the unfolding of a larger purpose. The emerging field of biofield science studies the electromagnetic fields that living things generate. These fields affect how our cells function, how our genes are expressed, and how we heal. When you maintain a focused, balanced state of mind, even when things are difficult, you strengthen your biofield. This isn't just a theory, it's a measurable electromagnetic reinforcement of your physical system. Indigenous wisdom traditions around the world recognize ceremonies of ordeal as essential for growth. Vision quests, sweat lodges, and initiation rituals all involve deliberately facing difficulty as a way to spark transformation. Your challenges aren't aberrations to be avoided, they're initiatory ordeals specifically designed for your evolution. The physics principle of resonance describes how systems respond more powerfully to stimuli that match their natural frequency. When you align yourself with your authentic nature, even when there's pressure from the outside to give in, you create resonance. This state amplifies your effectiveness and conserves energy. Your alignment isn't just about philosophical integrity, it's physics-based empowerment. Studies on longevity consistently identify purpose as a critical factor. People who have a clear sense of why they keep going tend to live measurably longer lives. Your commitment to persistence, even when things are hard, isn't just about surviving each day. It's literally extending your life through purpose-driven continuation. The principle of the quantum leap describes how electrons move from one energy state to another without passing through the states in between. Similarly, transformation often happens not gradually, but through sudden shifts after periods of apparent stability. Your perceived lack of progress isn't stagnation, it's the necessary energy accumulation before a quantum leap. Remember that in all of quantum physics, there's no such thing as absolute certainty, only probability fields that respond to observation. Your future isn't fixed. It's a probability field that responds to your conscious attention. When you direct your attention towards evidence of your resilience, you strengthen the probability waves of continued evolution and triumph. You're literally made of stardust. The elements in your body were created in the hearts of stars that exploded billions of years ago. These atoms traveled across vast cosmic distances before coming together as you. Your existence represents the universe's commitment to continued evolution, even against seemingly impossible odds. Your persistence isn't just personal determination, it's a cosmic inheritance. Consider the physics principle of inertia. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Your continued movement forward creates momentum that makes each subsequent step slightly easier. The universe itself collaborates with your persistence through fundamental physical laws. Your choice to continue isn't just willpower, it's alignment with the physics of momentum. Botanists studying plants have discovered remarkable adaptation mechanisms. When stressed by drought, heat, or poor soil, plants don't just endure. They develop new capabilities that wouldn't emerge under ideal conditions. Stress-induced evolution creates more resilient organisms. Your difficulties aren't just challenges. They're evolutionary pressures developing capacities that wouldn't be available otherwise. The psychological concept of post-traumatic wisdom describes a level beyond post-traumatic growth. It's not just recovery, but profound insight that transforms not only the individual, but potentially their entire community. Your journey through difficulty isn't just personal healing. It's the cultivation of wisdom that our collective consciousness desperately needs. Quantum coherence describes particles vibrating in synchrony, creating effects greater than the sum of their individual parts. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions align around your inherent dignity, despite your circumstances, you create internal quantum coherence. This state generates energy and possibility beyond what fragmentation allows. Your alignment isn't just psychological comfort, it's quantum amplification. Studies on intergenerational trauma reveal that difficulty experienced by one generation affects the epigenetic expression of subsequent generations. The hopeful corollary is that healing and resilience also transfer across generations. Your commitment to transformation, even when things are difficult, doesn't just change your life, it literally rewrites the epigenetic inheritance of future generations. The pioneering work in interpersonal neurobiology demonstrates that secure attachment literally builds neural structures that enhance resilience. Each time you extend compassion to yourself, recognizing both your wounds and your magnificence, you strengthen these internal structures. Your self-compassion isn't just emotional comfort, it's neural architecture construction. Biologists studying ecosystems note that the most resilient systems aren't homogeneous, but diverse with multiple redundant functions. Similarly, your resilience emerges not from rigid consistency, but from diverse internal resources. Your multifaceted response to difficulty, sometimes surrendering, sometimes fighting, sometimes adapting, isn't inconsistency. It's ecological resilience. Indigenous cultures worldwide maintain ceremonies of commemoration, rituals that honor difficulty traversed, and transformation achieved. These aren't just celebrations, they're energetic completions of transformation cycles. When you acknowledge how far you've come despite everything, you aren't just boosting morale, you're completing an essential phase of the transformation cycle. The quantum concept of the measurement problem suggests that reality exists in superposition until measured or observed. Your interpretation of your circumstances as either defeating or strengthening constitutes a measurement that collapses potential into actuality. Your perception isn't just attitude, it's quantum reality creation through conscious observation. Consider hydrothermal vents in the ocean depths, environments of extreme pressure, heat, and darkness that nonetheless host vibrant ecosystems. Life doesn't just survive there, it thrives through adaptation to conditions that would destroy most organisms. Your capacity to create meaning and purpose in harsh circumstances isn't delusion, it's evolutionary brilliance. Emergent properties in complex systems appear only at certain thresholds of complexity and integration. The wisdom, compassion, and strength emerging through your journey couldn't manifest any other way. Your difficulties aren't obstacles to your flourishing, they're the precise conditions required for your unique emergent properties to manifest. The electromagnetic spectrum contains vast ranges of frequencies beyond visible light. Similarly, reality contains dimensions of experience beyond current perception. What appears as meaningless suffering from a limited perspective reveals itself as purposeful transformation when perceived from an expanded awareness. Your journey isn't just endurance, it's multidimensional evolution, often occurring beyond conscious awareness. Neuroplasticity research shows that the brain forms new neural pathways throughout life, but especially when challenged. Your brain physically restructures itself through difficulty, creating literal new pathways of thought, emotion, and response. What feels like being broken apart is actually your neurology reorganizing toward greater capacity and resilience. The philosophical concept of eudaimonic well-being describes flourishing that comes not from pleasure, but from meaning, purpose, and full engagement with life's complexities. Your journey through difficulty isn't separating you from well-being. It's cultivating a deeper, more sustainable form of flourishing that pleasure alone could never provide. Entanglement in quantum physics demonstrates that particles once connected remain correlated regardless of distance or time. Every act of kindness, every moment of beauty you've created, every truth you've honored, remains entangled with you across time. These moments aren't lost. They continue influencing your reality through quantum correlation. Indigenous wisdom traditions speak of soul retrieval, the process of reclaiming aspects of self fragmented through trauma. What feels like falling apart is often the necessary disintegration before deeper reintegration. Your fragmentation isn't failure. It's the essential phase before more complete reassembly of your multidimensional being. Studies of human peak performance consistently show that periods of intense effort must be balanced with periods of deep recovery. The slow times in your journey when progress seems absent aren't stagnation. They're the essential recovery phases preparing you for the next expansion. Your perceived inertia isn't lack of growth. It's the gathering of resources for the next advance. The work of cellular biologists reveals that cells contain remarkable repair mechanisms that activate primarily under stress. DNA repair enzymes, heat shock proteins, and antioxidant production all increase under appropriate challenge. Your difficulties aren't just obstacles, they're activating sophisticated internal repair systems that remain dormant in comfort. Anthropologists studying rites of passage across cultures note a universal pattern: separation, liminality, and reintegration. The liminal phase, characterized by disorientation, ambiguity, and dissolution of previous identity, isn't failure. It's the essential middle ground between what was and what is becoming. Your confusion and disorientation aren't wrong turns. They're the liminal territory that must be traversed for authentic transformation. The psychological concept of differentiation describes the capacity to maintain selfhood while in close connection with others. Your difficult journey develops this capacity beyond what comfort could provide. Your simultaneous experiences of aloneness and connection aren't a contradiction. They're the paradox that develops higher differentiation and more authentic relationships. Ecologists studying forest fires have discovered that certain ecosystems require periodic burning for optimal health. These fires aren't disasters, but essential reset mechanisms that clear accumulated undergrowth and trigger the germination of certain seeds. Your painful experiences aren't just destruction, they're ecological resets, enabling new growth impossible through any other means. The mathematical concept of fractals demonstrates infinite complexity emerging from simple repeating patterns. Your daily choices to persist, despite difficulty, create the fractal pattern from which your entire life's resilience emerges. Your seemingly small acts of continuation aren't insignificant. They're the generative pattern of your entire life's evolution. Neurochemistry research reveals that endorphins, the body's natural pain relievers, are released not just during pleasure, but during stress, physical exertion, and pain. Your difficult journey triggers neurochemical responses that wouldn't activate otherwise. What feels like punishment is simultaneously activating sophisticated internal comfort systems. The philosophical tradition of existentialism proposes that meaning isn't inherent in circumstances, but created through how we engage with them. Your difficulties aren't meaningless absurdities. They're the raw material from which you forge meaning through conscious engagement. This meaning-making isn't denial. It's the highest expression of human consciousness. Studies on heart-brain communication show that the heart sends more signals to the brain than vice versa. When you choose to orient towards resilience, despite circumstances, your heart literally transmits different signals to your brain, affecting everything from perception to decision-making. Your heart-centered orientation isn't just sentiment, it's redirecting your entire neurophysiology. The quantum phenomenon of tunneling describes particles passing through energy barriers that classical physics would deem impenetrable. Similarly, consciousness can tunnel through circumstances that logic would consider impassable. Your continued movement, despite seemingly insurmountable obstacles, isn't defiance of reality. It's alignment with quantum principles that transcend classical limitations. Biologists studying hormesis have documented how appropriate stressors strengthen biological systems. Calorie restriction extends lifespan. Exercise tears muscle fibers that rebuild stronger. Intermittent exposure to cold improves immune function. Your difficulties aren't just challenges, they're hormetic stimuli strengthening your system in ways comfort never could. The psychological concept of earned security describes how those without secure early attachment can develop security through later relationships and experiences. Your journey isn't just endurance, it's the creation of earned security that can be more robust than security that was merely inherited. What you build through conscious effort often exceeds what others receive through circumstance. Psychologists studying narrative identity theory find that those who construct redemptive narratives from difficulty, stories where suffering leads to growth, demonstrate greater well-being than those with contamination narratives, where good experiences are ruined by difficulty. Your story isn't fixed. It's being authored through how you interpret your journey. This authorship isn't denial, it's the inherent meaning-making capacity of human consciousness. Quantum field theory proposes that particles are actually excitations in underlying fields that extend throughout spacetime. You aren't just a temporary assemblage of matter, you're a unique excitation in fields that have always existed and will always exist. Your journey isn't just personal, it's a distinct pattern within eternal fields that compose all reality. Neuroscientists studying the default mode network, brain regions active during rest and self-reflection, find that contemplative practices physically alter this network, reducing rumination and enhancing awareness. Your moments of reflective peace amid difficulty aren't just psychological comfort, they're physically reconfiguring core neural networks toward greater equilibrium. The anthropological concept of communitas describes the profound bonding that occurs among people experiencing liminality together. Your difficult journey creates capacity for deeper connection with others in transition than would ever be possible through shared comfort. Your suffering isn't isolating you, it's preparing you for more authentic communion. Research on mindfulness reveals that accepting difficult emotions without resistance paradoxically reduces their intensity and duration. When you fully allow your experience rather than fighting against it, you create internal spaciousness that transforms your relationship with difficulty. Your acceptance isn't resignation, it's sophisticated emotional regulation that creates freedom within constraint. The physical phenomenon of resonance describes how systems vibrating at their natural frequency require minimal energy input for maximum response. When you align your actions with your deepest values despite external pressure, you create internal resonance. This state isn't just philosophical integrity, it's physics-based efficiency that conserves precious energy during difficult times. Biologists studying allostasis, the process of maintaining stability through change, note that organisms don't maintain rigid homeostasis, but rather adapt regulatory mechanisms based on anticipated needs. Your apparent instability isn't failure. It's sophisticated allostatic regulation preparing you for anticipated futures. Your variability isn't weakness. It's adaptive brilliance. The spiritual concept of kenosis, self-emptying, appears across traditions from Christianity to Buddhism. This emptying isn't loss, but a prerequisite for filling with something greater. Your feelings of depletion aren't just exhaustion, they're the necessary emptying before replenishment with more expansive understanding and capacity. Cognitive scientists studying conceptual blending show that novel insights emerge when previously separate conceptual domains combine. Your journey through difficulty forces unusual connections between aspects of experience that would otherwise remain separate. Your suffering isn't just endurance. It's the catalyst for conceptual blending that generates unprecedented insight. The psychological principle of proprioception describes awareness of the body's position in space. Similarly, psychological proprioception involves awareness of one's position in relation to thoughts and emotions. Your difficult journey develops this capacity beyond what comfort could provide. Your increasing ability to witness your experience rather than being subsumed by it isn't just coping, it's evolving consciousness. Quantum non-locality demonstrates that particles can instantly affect each other regardless of distance, without classical communication. Similarly, your impact on others occurs through mechanisms beyond visible interaction. Your persistence, despite difficulty, affects the field of consciousness in ways that transcend obvious causality. Your private courage isn't just personal resilience, it's non-local influence on collective consciousness. The biological concept of keystone species describes organisms with disproportionate impact on their ecosystems relative to their abundance. Your journey through difficulty with conscious awareness makes you a keystone species in the ecosystem of human consciousness, affecting the whole far beyond your individual scale. Your transformation isn't just personal healing, it's evolutionary leadership. Research on the vagus nerve, the primary connection between brain and body, shows that stimulating vagal tone enhances resilience to stress, improves emotional regulation, and strengthens immune function. Simple practices like deep breathing directly activate this system. Your conscious breathing through difficulty isn't just self-soothing, it's direct regulation of fundamental neurophysiology. The philosophical tradition of phenomenology examines how phenomena appear in conscious experience. Your difficulties exist not just as objective circumstances, but as subjective phenomena shaped by perception. When you shift attention from the circumstance itself to how you perceive it, you access freedom unavailable through circumstance change alone. This perceptual freedom isn't denial, it's the inherent structure of consciousness itself. Ecologists studying resilience in natural systems identify diversity, redundancy, and modularity as key factors. Similarly, your resilience emerges not from a single strength, but from diverse capacities, multiple ways of responding, and relatively independent subsystems. Your multifaceted nature isn't inconsistency, it's ecological wisdom embodied in human form. The psychological concept of a secure base describes the foundation from which exploration becomes possible. Through your difficult journey, you're developing an internal secure base, independent of external conditions. This achievement isn't just survival, it's the establishment of an unshakable foundation for future thriving, regardless of circumstances. Quantum vacuum energy, The energy present in supposedly empty space is now recognized as the most abundant energy in the universe. Similarly, what feels like emptiness within you contains vast potential energy awaiting activation. Your apparent depletion isn't absence. It's the quantum vacuum state pregnant with emergence. The cellular process of autophagy, self-digestion and recycling of damaged components, accelerates during stress and fasting. What feels like being consumed by difficulty is often the necessary dismantling of outmoded aspects of self to release energy for new growth. Your sense of coming undone isn't just breakdown, it's sophisticated cellular recycling, creating space for regeneration. Anthropologists studying cultural evolution note that the most adaptive cultures aren't those with the most resources, but those with the greatest response diversity to challenge. Your diverse internal responses to difficulty aren't inconsistency. They're cultural evolution occurring at the individual scale. Your adaptability isn't indecision, it's sophisticated cultural intelligence. The physical principle of tensegrity describes structures that maintain integrity through balanced tension rather than solid connection. These structures, like Buckminster Fuller's geodesic domes, demonstrate remarkable resilience through strategic distribution of stress. Your continued coherence despite multiple pressures isn't just endurance, it's human tensegrity, utilizing stress for enhanced structural integrity. Neuroscientists studying predictive processing theory propose that the brain continuously generates predictions about incoming experience rather than passively receiving it. When you consciously orient toward resilience, you literally change what your brain predicts and therefore perceives. Your optimistic orientation isn't delusion, it's strategic engagement with the brain's predictive architecture. The mathematical concept of divergent thinking describes generating multiple solutions rather than converging on a single answer. Your challenges develop this capacity beyond what comfort could provide. Your ability to envision multiple possible responses to difficulty isn't indecision. It's mathematical sophistication applied to lived experience. Systems theorists studying autopoiesis, self-creation, note that living systems continuously regenerate themselves while maintaining boundaries with their environment. Through difficulty, you're developing more sophisticated autopoiesis, more consciously participating in your own continuous recreation. Your journey isn't just survival, it's evolving mastery of self-creation amid flux. The quantum Zeno effect demonstrates that continuously observing a system can prevent quantum state changes. Similarly, your continued conscious attention to your inherent dignity, despite external invalidation, preserves your essential state. Your self-witnessing isn't just psychological comfort, it's quantum intervention, preserving your authentic being through focused attention. Psychologists studying the ego development sequence identify stages progressing from simplistic either-or thinking toward increasing comfort with paradox, systems awareness, and constructed meaning. Your difficult journey accelerates this developmental sequence. Your increasing capacity to hold complexity and contradiction isn't confusion, it's advanced ego development. The principle of cross-adaptation in exercise physiology shows that adaptation to one stressor often provides protection against others. Heat acclimation improves cold tolerance. Altitude training enhances sea level performance. Your difficult experiences aren't just specific challenges, they're cross-training, developing generalized adaptability applicable across domains. The spiritual concept of the dark night of the soul describes a phase of the contemplative journey where previous certainties dissolve before new understanding emerges. This disorientation isn't failure, but a necessary transition between levels of consciousness. Your confusion and doubt aren't wrong turns, they're the essential passage between orders of knowing. I want you to recognize something profound. Now, throughout human history, the most significant advancements in consciousness have emerged not from comfort, but from the integration of difficulty. The greatest art, the most transformative philosophies, the deepest spiritual insights, all have roots in the fertile soil of challenge. You aren't just enduring meaningless suffering, you're participating in humanity's grandest project, the evolution of consciousness itself. The biological concept of stress inoculation describes how moderate, manageable stress exposure increases resilience to future stressors. Your current challenges aren't just present difficulties, they're literally inoculating you against future disruption. Your struggle now isn't wasted effort, it's sophisticated preparation for unknown futures. Neuroscientists studying the cellular mechanisms of memory formation have discovered that emotional arousal strengthens memory consolidation. Your difficult experiences aren't just challenging moments, they're being encoded as especially durable learnings that become fundamental to your future navigation of life. What feels painful now becomes wisdom, accessible for a lifetime. Physicists studying critical phase transitions, the boundary between different states of matter, note that these transitions exhibit both maximum instability and maximum potential for transformation. Your moments of greatest instability aren't just breakdown. They're critical phase transitions containing unprecedented potential for reorganization at higher orders of complexity. The philosophical concept of ontogenesis, the continual coming into being of reality, suggests that existence isn't static, but continuously emerging through relationship. Your difficult journey isn't occurring within a fixed reality. It's participating in the continuous birth of reality itself. Your conscious engagement with challenge isn't just personal growth, it's collaboration with universal becoming. I want you to truly hear this. The universe isn't indifferent to your struggle. You exist within a conscious cosmos that evolves through your evolution. The intelligence pervading all existence collaborates with your continued presence. You aren't moving through difficulty alone. You're accompanied by the creative force that manifests galaxies and transforms caterpillars into butterflies. Consider returning to this video each morning as you begin your day. Let these quantum principles rewire your neural pathways through consistent exposure. The repetition creates deeper integration, collapsing new probability waves into your daily experience. And when you encounter someone struggling beneath invisible burdens, share this transmission with them. This act isn't just kindness, it's conscious participation in expanding the field of collective awareness. Each person who awakens to their quantum nature accelerates our collective evolution exponentially. You're not separate from the quantum field. You are the quantum field localized into human experience. Your resilience isn't just personal virtue, it's the universe discovering its own capacity. For the continuation of that process through your own unique existence, what you might experience as a very personal and isolating struggle is, in reality, a universal creative process playing out through your individual circumstances. When you persevere, even when the odds seem stacked against you, you're not just showing individual strength, you're actually revealing something essential about the very nature of consciousness. It's the inherent ability to overcome situations through creative responses. Your life isn't merely a personal story, it's consciousness itself exploring its boundless potential by way of your specific experiences. This is a deeply impactful truth that has the potential to change everything. You aren't just a helpless victim of hardship, you're a conscious partner with the cosmic evolution happening through these challenges. Your ongoing presence isn't simply admirable perseverance, it's taking part in the fundamental creative process of existence. This isn't just some spiritual analogy. It's the literal structure of a conscious and ever-evolving universe, expressing itself through your specific life journey. The principles we've been discussing regarding the observer effect and quantum manifestation are deeply connected to how the universe communicates with you through synchronicity. Pay close attention to how the universe is communicating with you. Neville's synchronicity, so that you can discover the hidden language of reality. It's constantly speaking to you through what might seem like random occurrences. You'll begin to understand these messages and consciously engage in the ongoing conversation.